When my husband was hospitalized, I slept on a bench for 3 nights because my in-laws said, "You're not family enough for a guest room." On the fourth night, his mother whispered, "Maybe this is God's way of showing you where you belong." I sat there, shivering, watching them post smiling photos from the hospital cafeteria. I quietly sold something they'd never imagine I'd touch. Now they're panicking, calling me 16 times a day. My husband had a seizure in the kitchen. I was right there. He was reaching for a glass of water, and the next second, he was on the floor, convulsing. His eyes rolled back. I remember the sound his body made when it hit the tiles. I didn't scream. I froze. Just for a second. Then I called 911, my hands shaking so badly, I dropped the phone once. When they wheeled him into the ambulance, I rode in the back. I held his hand, even though it was cold and stiff. I didn't let go. Not even when they told me to stay back while they worked on him. His parents were at the hospital before I even finished signing the forms. His mother stormed in, her makeup perfect, not a hair out of place. His father followed, already shouting at the nurse about why they hadn't been notified first. His sister came with them, holding a giant handbag and talking on the phone like this was some sort of inconvenience. I thought, stupidly, that they would hug me, or thank me, or just ask if I was okay. They didn't. They looked past me, straight to him. His mother said, "What did you do to him?" Like I had poisoned her son instead of saving his life. The doctor said he needed to stay in the ICU. 3 days, maybe more. I nodded. They nodded. We all nodded. When visiting hours ended, I followed them down the hall. I didn't even think to ask where I'd sleep. I figured we'd figure it out together. We were family, right?
Wrong.
The hospital gave them access to a suite reserved for long-stay families. 1 bed, 1 couch, a private bathroom, a little kitchenette. I followed them down the hall, hoping someone would say, "There's enough room for all of us." His father closed the door in my face. I knocked. Just once. His sister opened it a crack and said, "This is for family. You should understand." I didn't say anything. I just walked away. The first night, I sat in the waiting room until security told me I couldn't sleep there. I ended up outside, near a bench facing the parking lot. It was cold. My coat was thin. I curled up and tried to sleep, using my purse as a pillow. The second night, I stayed in the hospital as long as I could. I watched him through the glass, machines beeping in rhythm. I talked to the nurse when I could. She said he was stable. She was kind but busy. That night, his family posted a photo. His mother, father, and sister smiling in the hospital cafeteria. Coffee cups raised. The caption read, "Still smiling. God's got us." #family first. I stared at that photo for hours. The third night, I asked if I could sleep in the hospital chapel. The nurse hesitated, but said yes. I laid on the floor behind the last row of pews, listening to the hum of the heater. I coughed a little. No one noticed. I checked my phone. No missed calls. No messages. I was his wife. But I felt like a stranger. The fourth night changed everything. I was sitting on that same bench, wrapped in a scarf that barely kept out the wind. My feet were numb. I had eaten a granola bar from a vending machine. I was dozing off when I heard heels clicking on the sidewalk. His mother. She crouched down in front of me, too close. Her perfume hit me first, sweet, sharp, expensive. I looked at her, confused. She smiled, like this was a casual chat. Then she leaned in and whispered, "Maybe this is God's way of showing you where you belong." She stood and walked away like she hadn't just slapped me in the face with words. I didn't move. I sat there for a long time. I don't know how long. That was the moment something inside me snapped. Or maybe it hardened. Because she was right. God was showing me something.
But it wasn't about me. It was about them.
What they didn't know was that before we got married, his father had a bright idea. He wanted to avoid taxes on a piece of family land, a big lot just outside the city, 5 acres. He asked my husband to put it in my name temporarily, just for paperwork. Said they'd transfer it back after some legal issues cleared up. I had questions. My husband said, It's just for now, babe. We trust you. I signed the papers, but I kept a copy. And I kept a key to the little office on the edge of the property. They never followed up, never transferred it back. And I never reminded them, because part of me always felt like an outsider around them. I just didn't think they'd throw it in my face like this. So that fourth night, while they slept comfortably in their private room and I curled up on a bench, I made a call to a man who once offered to buy that land. A developer. Ruthless. They hated him. Called him a vulture. I told him it was for sale. He asked if I was serious. I said, more than I've ever been. He recovered slowly. By the fifth day, they moved him out of ICU. He was groggy, confused, his body weak, his speech slurred. I sat next to him for hours, wiping his lips, helping him drink water. His mother came in with fresh flowers and a camera-ready smile. "Oh, honey," she said to him, "we've all been so worried."
She didn't look at me.
Didn't even acknowledge I was sitting right there. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just kept holding his hand. His sister took a photo from the doorway. I posted it a few minutes later. Our boy is strong. Thank you for all the prayers. God is so good.
Still no mention of me.
Not once. Not even a thank you. They made me invisible. The sale moved fast. The developer didn't waste time. We met in a coffee shop downtown, papers spread out between us. I want full rights, he said.
No strings.
No drama. There will be drama, I told him. But not from me. He grinned. I've been waiting 10 years to get that land. You sure you're ready for this? I nodded. I walked out with a signed agreement and a check with more zeros than I'd ever seen in my life. I rented a small apartment near the hospital. 1 bedroom.
Quiet.
No family photos on the walls. Just a mattress on the floor and a folded blanket. But it was mine. I didn't tell anyone.
Not even him.
2 weeks later, the trucks rolled in. Bulldozers. Orange fences. Loud engines. His father showed up at the property first. Security tried to stop him. He pushed past. I wasn't there.
I didn't need to be.
But I got the call. You need to fix this right now, he barked into the phone. You need to tell them this was a mistake. I hung up without saying a word. That was the first call. The next day, there were 3. Then 8. Then 16. All from his family. His mother left me a voicemail. This is serious. We can fix this, sweetheart, but you have to call me back. We know you didn't mean to do this. We know someone pressured you. They still thought I was stupid.
He was discharged a week after that.
I picked him up. His family didn't even offer. He was quiet in the car. I could tell he was trying to piece things together. Why haven't we gone home? He asked. I didn't answer. I drove him to my apartment, helped him up the stairs, tucked him into bed. He didn't ask questions that night, just slept. The next morning, he woke up and found me on the floor, sipping coffee. Where's my mom? He asked. Not here, I said.
He stared at me.
Did something happen?
I stared right back.
You could say that. He didn't ask again. A few days later, I took him for a walk. Slow steps. Careful movements. We passed a newsstand. The headline caught his eye. Developer breaks ground on controversial land deal. Family claims fraud. His hand tightened around mine. My dad's land, he said, voice thin. I didn't blink. Wasn't his. He didn't speak for a long time after that. We just kept walking. That night, his mother came banging on the apartment door. She didn't look like herself. Hair a mess, makeup streaked, face twisted in a way I'd never seen before. You think this is funny? She shouted. You think you can steal from us? I didn't open the door. She kept yelling. His father joined in, demanding I come out. He stayed in the bedroom, silent, eyes wide like a child hiding from a storm. The neighbors started looking out their windows. That was when I opened the door, not for them, but for the moment. His mother tried to step in. I blocked her with my arm. It was never yours, I said, calm as anything. Her voice cracked. You're destroying this family. No, I said. You did that when you left me on that bench. Then I closed the door again. They haven't stopped calling. Not once. Some days it's threats. Other days, it's apologies. Desperation. Legal warnings. I'm not scared. I sit with him every morning. We talk sometimes. Mostly silence. He watches me like he doesn't quite know who I am anymore. That's okay. He'll find out soon enough. A week after his mother showed up screaming at my door, I got a letter. Not a text. Not an email. A real letter. Hand-delivered. No return address. It was from their lawyer. Inside was a copy of a petition they were suing me, claiming the land had been signed under duress, claiming I had no right to sell it, claiming my husband had never given permission. I laughed when I read it. A dry, humorless laugh. The kind that doesn't feel good, just empty. I'd kept every document, every email, even the text from his father the night they asked me to sign, saying, "You're part of the family now. We trust you more than anyone." They were bluffing, but they were desperate. My husband started getting more alert, stronger, moving around more. And then, one morning, I caught him on the phone. He didn't know I was standing in the hallway. He spoke low, but not low enough. "I'm trying, Mom. Just give me time." Silence. "No, she doesn't know yet." More silence.
Yeah.
"I'll handle it. Just not now." I didn't say anything when he hung up. I walked into the kitchen, poured coffee, and stared out the window like I hadn't heard a thing. But inside, something cold settled in my chest. That night, I checked his phone while he slept. I'd never done it before. Never had a reason to. He'd been talking to them every day. They'd been feeding him lines, telling him I betrayed him, that I'd done it behind his back, that they were going to lose everything because of me. Worse, there were texts from his sister, screenshots of fake documents, a draft of a statement they wanted him to sign. They wanted him to say I forged his signature. They wanted him to testify against me. I didn't cry. Not that night. I just sat on the floor with his phone in my lap, staring at the screen until it dimmed. They weren't just trying to hurt me now. They were using him to destroy me. And the worst part? He hadn't told them to stop. The next morning, I made him breakfast. I set the plate in front of him. Eggs, toast, orange juice. Same as always. He looked up surprised. "You okay?" I nodded. "You sure?" I smiled.
Yeah.
Just thinking. I let the silence grow heavy between us. He looked uncomfortable, fidgeted, but didn't say anything else. He was waiting for me to bring it up. I wouldn't. I wanted him to. 3 days passed. He grew quieter. I stopped asking if he needed anything. I didn't offer to help him shower. I didn't tuck him in. I let the cold settle in the apartment. Then, out of nowhere, he asked, "Why didn't you tell me you sold the land?" I looked up from my book. "You knew why." He stared at me, mouth open, searching for something to say. "I was in a hospital," he said. "I didn't know what was happening." "You knew what they did to me," I said. "You knew they left me outside. You knew they shut that door." His jaw tightened. "They're still my family." I nodded. "And I'm your wife." More silence. He stood up, limped to the window, and stood there with his back to me. Then he said something I didn't expect. "They said they'd pay my medical bills if I helped them get the land back." I didn't move. "They said you only did this for the money," he added. I stood, walked over to him. Quiet steps. "You think I sold it for money?" I asked, my voice flat. He didn't answer. "Do you?" Still nothing. I nodded once and walked into the bedroom. Packed a small bag. He didn't follow me. Not right away. When I opened the front door, he finally spoke. "Where are you going?" "I'm giving you time to decide," I said. "To decide what?" I looked him in the eye. "If you're my husband or their puppet." Then I left. I stayed in a cheap motel for 3 days. It smelled like mildew and cigarette smoke. The sheets were thin. The heat barely worked. But I slept better than I had in weeks. I didn't text him. Didn't check in. I wanted to see what he would do when no one was watching. On the 3rd night, I got a call. Not from him. From the developer. "They filed an injunction," he said. trying to stop the build. I sat up in bed. But don't worry, he said. They don't have a leg to stand on. You did everything by the book.
He paused.
But there's something else you should know. Turns out, while they were busy throwing me out, suing me, and plotting behind my back, they made one big mistake. They forged my husband's name on old tax documents, trying to make it look like the land had been transferred back to them a year ago. But they forgot something simple. My husband had never changed his signature after we got married. And when the lawyers looked closely, they saw it. 2 different signatures. One real, one fake.
Forgery.
A felony. I called my husband the next day. I know what they did, I said. He didn't ask what I meant. He already knew. I need to ask you something, I said. Not for me. For yourself. He was quiet. Did you sign anything? I asked. Another pause. Then, no, I believed him. Not because I trusted him, but because I could hear it in his voice. He was tired, worn down, ashamed. They wanted me to. They said I owed them. Said you were trying to ruin everything. And you believed them? I wanted to, he said quietly. It was easier. He met me at the courthouse 2 days later. He wore the same coat from the hospital, a little looser on him now. He looked older, weaker, but his eyes were clearer than I'd seen them in weeks. He signed an affidavit, swore under oath that the signature wasn't his, that I had been the rightful owner, that his father had asked us to hold the land because of tax issues. The lawyer handed me a copy when it was done. My hands shook when I held it, not because I was scared, because it was finally over. The court ruled in my favor. Not only did they throw out the family's lawsuit, they launched a criminal investigation into the forged documents. The police showed up at his parents' house a week later. His father tried to talk his way out of it. Said it was a misunderstanding, that they were just protecting what was theirs. But the documents didn't lie. Neither did the bank records, or the emails, or the witness statements from the developer, the paralegal, and the notary who remembered how casually his father had laughed while saying, "It's all just paperwork." His mother cried on TV. She told the reporter they were victims, that I was a gold digger, that I'd brainwashed her son. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The truth was out. People whispered about them in the grocery store. Their church stopped calling. Their friends turned cold. Their reputation, everything they'd ever protected, was ruined. The last time I saw them was in court. His father looked straight through me, like I was a ghost. His mother wouldn't even raise her eyes. His sister tried to speak to me in the hallway, asked me if I was proud of myself. I said nothing, just looked at her.
Calm.
Steady.
Whole.
Then I walked away. My husband and I didn't stay together. We didn't scream or fight. We didn't drag it out. One night, I made us both tea. We sat on the couch, quiet. He said, "I'm sorry for what I didn't do." I nodded. "I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." We signed the papers 2 weeks later. He moved in with a friend. I kept the apartment. I kept the land. I kept everything. But most of all, I kept my peace. People think revenge is loud, explosive, a fire that burns everything down. But mine was quiet. A signature. A silence. A door closed and never opened again. Sometimes I drive past the property. The land they thought they owned. The land they used to brag about. Now it's a building site. A community center is going up. The developer named it after my grandmother, not theirs. He said it was to honor the only real family he'd ever met in the deal. I told him thank you. I didn't get justice through rage. Or revenge with screaming. I got it by surviving. By remembering. By refusing to be invisible ever again.